Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Krakowski, and if we haven't met yet, I help coaches, trainers, mentors, and entrepreneurs that want to help make an impact in people's lives with their knowledge and information, scale their businesses to $20,000 and even $40,000 per month. Many of our clients have even gone on to make tens of millions of dollars using the information that we teach. And so today I want to help you with one of the most powerful frameworks for reaching your goals that exists, and something that has really transformed my life that I've been wanting to pass on to my clients. Here's the thing. We all know where we want to be in life, but we often get caught up in complaining and disappointment that we're not there yet. And this way of thinking, while we may believe is going to help us reach our goals long term because we're focusing on what we need to be doing and what we're not doing yet, and we're so focused on, okay, this is the task, but this is why I can't do it. And we're looking at our problem and solution. Here's the problem with that. This is why that doesn't work. And this is why most of the ways that we've been trained to reach our goals, especially as business owners, don't work. First off, 99% of people, the way that they're taught goals works for corporate America. Works for if you're in a college setting, works for if you are an employee working for somebody else. And so realize that the 1% or the 2% of people that are actually self-employed and making $250,000 to $500,000 a year, right? Because that's what we're thinking about. You're not going to reach that income level with the same level of thinking and behavior that keeps you below that level. And truthfully, most people don't earn that much. Most people think it's impossible to earn that much. And so there's a number of frameworks that I developed that have helped us. Last month we made $160,000 in our business. And our lowest month, I would say the lowest amount of income that I've made in the last 5 to 7 years. I don't have like the exact timeline, but it hasn't dropped below $20,000 a month. So we haven't made less than $250,000 in our family and our lifestyle. And these frameworks have helped. Okay. So hear from me if you're somebody that wants to make multiple 6 figures or even 7 figures. This will break you out of the box of that. The first one is this. Imagine the life you want. Have a vision for it. And here's the temptation with that. We immediately start coming up with why we can't have that life. What needs to change? That's actually not going to help you. Focusing so much on what needs to change, focusing so much on what's not working, focusing so much on what you wish was different is not going to produce the kind of life or results that you want. Now, it's a natural human tendency. We don't need any help to do that. Our brains are actually pre-wired to do that for survival, okay? So you have to break out of your pre-wired survival mechanisms to be able to step into a thriving framework, okay? Now here's the next one is, and most people don't do this until they reach a certain level of success. And I would encourage you that this is a success framework that will actually get you success rather than something to wait until you have success to do. And what that is congratulating yourself for every little thing that you do, that you accomplish. Encouraging yourself. Oh, I woke up 2 hours earlier this morning. Not, man, I'm just doing what I should. Give yourself a high five and say, you know what? I'm doing great today. I'm doing my best. I'm giving it my best. When we do this, we allow ourselves to rewire our brain towards abundance, towards happiness, towards looking at the best case scenario and out of survival. As well, we can really get caught up in this I'm not good enough mentality, this I'm not doing good enough, and so I need to be doing more. And the truth is, we don't need any help to do that. We can look at what are we doing every single day, what's not working, okay, what do we need to do, what needs to change, and we have those answers right away. But here's the truth. Most people I meet have the answers of what they need to do already. Like, I need to go through a course, I need to listen to more podcasts, I need to spend more time writing my sales copy, creating my landing page. Like, they know what they need to do, okay? I need to come up with my niche. I need to ask for help. Maybe I need to join a coaching program. Maybe I need to get a mentor, okay? So we naturally know what we need to do. We naturally, already have that figured out, but what we do is we end up ruminating on what's not working and thinking about and overthinking about what needs to happen. That's a survival mechanism, and that comes from, it's a natural human thing, trying to protect ourselves, trying to make sure that things don't go bad, trying to make sure that the last shoe doesn't drop. And for those of you that, if you've experienced that throughout your whole life, like I did growing up, it's very difficult to actually rewire and retrain that. But it's something that it's going to be the most difficult thing that you'll ever do in your life, I think, is to rewire and retrain that. But with intention, the more you do it, it becomes a habit, and it becomes a habit framework that you can start doing more of every single day in your life, in your business, to take a look at, okay, instead of me focusing on what's not working, instead of me focusing on what I wish was different, instead of me focusing on what needs to change or what I want, right? Because we think about, okay, I have a vision for the future. I have this vision for how I want my life to be. And so Jeremiah says, have a vision. And so then all we focus on is what we need to change, what we want to change, what we're not happy with, what we're disappointed about. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about from a place of declaration and belief and abundance that I'm seeing my best life before it happens. And I'm seeing it without attachment. And I'm seeing it without expectation. And that's one of the biggest key factors, is getting rid of attachment and expectation to outcomes and needing things to go the way that we envision. The truth is that as we get started, as we move towards our goals, as we start to create the life that we want, things aren't going to go always how we envisioned it. We might have a plan for how we would like things to go. We might have a plan for how we would envision would be best for us. But then when reality kind of smacks you in the face, you're like, man, nothing's going my way. Nothing's going how I want it to. And this creates the perpetual, never-ending cycle of disappointment and regret and feeling like I can't ever get ahead. No matter what I do, nothing works out for me. Nothing goes my way. People like us don't succeed. And we replay these statements over and over again. You have this ups and downs of motivation, demotivation, motivation, demotivation, motivation, demotivation, and you're not actually making any progress, or you're making very slow progress, right? And so really what I'm helping you with is I want you to be able to compress time. I want you to be able to shrink timelines. In your normal everyday life, you might have a timeline that, okay, it's going to take me 5 to 10 years to accomplish this. But I want to accomplish it in a year or 2 or 6 months. And really, truly, we all want that. But if we were honest with ourselves at the end of the day, that's not reality. That's not what we're experiencing. This is the only one framework that I know that can actually compress timelines, that actually does shrink that down, is by congratulating yourself, by encouraging yourself, even when you mess up, even when you make a mistake, even when you fail, even when things don't go your way. Congratulate yourself that I'm giving it my best shot. Being thankful for however anything went. Seeing things more as an experiment rather than like requiring that outcome to go how it is. Well, I require it to go this way. We have to really break up with even that type of language that, well, I'm not going to be happy until I reach this place. I used to find myself saying that all the time. And realizing that your happiness comes from inside. It doesn't come from the results you produce. It doesn't come from what you're creating. It doesn't come from how you perform. Now, that might not be how you've lived your life up to this moment in time. Maybe you've lived your life up to this moment in time that your happiness is only based off of final outcomes. That it's only based off of the end goal. And that way of living, I've lived it for years, will work directly against you actually reaching your goals. And you might say, well, Jeremiah, I've reached a lot of goals doing that. I would beg to argue you've reached your goals in spite of that, not because of. And that it was more your persistence and tenacity and not giving up that actually allows you to reach those goals, rather than that behavior produce the result. Because every single millionaire that I've talked to and in my own life, I have found that this type of detaching from the outcome, letting go of how we need things to be, letting go of expectations, letting go of, well, if it doesn't go my way, then I'm going to be unhappy. Letting go of requiring stuff to go our way for our joy and happiness, and instead saying, you know what? I'm going to give it my best shot. It's all an experiment. I'm just going to see what happens, and I'm going to be good no matter what happens. I'm going to be good no matter how something goes. That my safety, security, happiness, certainty is not tied to producing the goal. It's not tied to my performance. My worth is not tied to how I perform. That my worth does not come from if I can produce this result or not, and that we completely detach and let go of our identity, our happiness, and our joy being related to performance metrics. Okay? Now in business, obviously we look at performance metrics to help us make decisions if our actions or choices are working. But we have to remove the emotion from it. We have to remove the feeling of good enough from it. I'll tell you this, every single person watching this right now, you're 110% already good enough and already even skilled enough to make a 6-figure coaching business. And you might not believe it, but I'm telling you, in my experience, it doesn't take any more skill or knowledge or even experience to make six figures. So borrow my belief, borrow my faith, borrow the fact that I know that from working with thousands of coaches, mentors, trainers, people over the years, and then looking at the ones who are successful versus the ones who really struggle, the ones who really don't see the result that they want, the ones who really, they've been struggling for years. I take a look at what are they doing? And then what are the people that are successful doing that's different? And then what am I doing that has made success? And so what I'm telling you right now isn't just from some ideas that I've read in a book or heard on a podcast. This is solid experience that has created the life that I live, the life that I could have only dreamed of years ago. Yes, I come from a background where I've been in the industry for a long time, but I always thought that I was going to have to work for somebody else and help somebody else's vision. And truly, I didn't think that I had what it takes for years to make the kind of money that I'm making. And I was happy with just $20,000, $30,000 a month. Now we've surpassed that to even seven figures. And what got me to $20,000, $30,000 a month is the same mentality framework that's got me to seven figures. But it's like, okay, why is it that most people don't do this? I've been teaching this message for years. I've taught it for a long time, but most people don't grab onto it. They're too critical of themselves. They're too self-punishing. They're too attached to how they need things to go. They are too attached to how they require things to be, or they don't feel good enough. And when we just let all that stuff go, and you just go out there and build your business as one big fun experiment where you literally don't care how it goes, you might be saying, Jeremiah, that sounds irresponsible. Yeah, I guess you got to do the reckless, irresponsible things sometimes. Sometimes, if we are that concerned about needing to operate in such a rigid framework of perfection and responsibility and doing all the right things. I was raised that way. I was raised to never do anything unless it's perfect, unless you can guarantee a result and that there's no risk, and that if you do, that you are a bad, harmful person that doesn't take care of their family, and you are irresponsible, and in fact that even God rejects you for doing that. That's how I was raised. Okay? And so I know that framework of thinking. We have to rewire our brains if we want to increase our income as business owners. We have to start thinking, living, making different choices, making different decisions, and looking at the world differently than what got us here. And now I want to encourage you that the fact that you're even listening to this right now, give yourself a high five. You're doing what most people won't do. Most people will find a podcast episode like this and shut it off in the first 5 minutes because it made them feel very uncomfortable. And so the fact that you're even able to listen to this right now shows me that you're open to stepping into the next level of your life, that you're stepping into the next level of creating the life that you want, because you're able to take a look internally at maybe what I've been doing isn't working, and you're not letting pride or ego step in to argue for your limitations. You're not fighting for what hasn't been working in your life. You're not fighting for your upbringing. I meet people every single week. They tell me, well, Jeremiah, my culture and how I was raised taught me to not be that way, and so I can't change. And I'm like, no, you're choosing not to change. That's definitely a choice, but we got some deeper issues there. You might need to work through some trauma. You might need to work through realizing that how you've always been taught to do something, you're not required or obligated to always do that in the future. And I want you to start to think about it as I've talked about this. Two things, okay? Here's an exercise of how to apply this in your life. One, if you started doing this, how would your life change? What changes would you see happen for you? What would be different in your life? Some of you see immediately will get a vision of all your dreams coming true. Others of you will get a vision of a lot of pain, suffering, and people hating you and your whole life being destroyed. If that's the case and you're like, my whole life would be destroyed, I want you to journal out and write down all those things, because what that's pointing to is you have beliefs that are based off of experiences, and I'm not wanting to invalidate those experiences at all, because your experiences have taught you these things. You have beliefs that are telling you that it's impossible for you to do what I've talked about. That you can't, that people like you can't, or bad things will happen to you. And here's what I'll say, I get it. If I was still with the same friends, hanging out with the same family members, talking to the same people, and doing the same things in the same job that I had started this journey with, absolutely, I couldn't operate in that framework. And so we literally have to get new friends. Stop asking for advice from the same old people. Find new people to listen to. If you listen to my podcast, it's going to change your life. If you plug into my social media every single day, I make posts to help course creators and coaches change their life and their business. We got a coaching program with all of the skills that you need to learn on how to market and sell and build your funnels and write your sales copy and grow your email list. These are the expert strategies that have scaled our business, that have scaled our clients' businesses to tens of millions of dollars, that have scaled our clients' businesses. Maybe they don't want to make tens of millions, but it's scaled them to multiple six figures. And so if you hang out with me, it's going to change your thinking, and you're going to get into my community as well and start thinking the way that our community members do. We got people that you can hang out with, new friends that you can make in our community that will help change your life. But you got to make the choice and the desire that I want my life changed. If you have no desire, nothing's going to happen. If you're just going to keep going the motions, the same old, nothing's going to happen. And so you gotta make some choices, some decisions. And you don't need to make them today, but I would recommend maybe you make them sometime in the next month, right? This is something my therapist taught me. She's like, sometimes we feel like, okay, if I didn't make the choice today, then I'm a failure. No, give yourself a month or two to make these choices. Give yourself a transition period to work out some of those feelings inside of you of why you think this stuff won't work out. Journal it out. Talk with some of your friends about this. If you share some of the ideas that you got on this podcast, and some of you are going to listen to this episode multiple times over during the next month or so, because it's going to change the way you think, and you're going to get something new out of it each time. The frameworks that I've just mentioned to you will absolutely change your life and your business and your income. You detach from outcomes. You stop worrying about what other people think about you. So you stop caring about how people perceive you. Not that you don't care about other people. I care a lot about people. I love people. I don't do what I do because I hate people. But I also don't spend time in business with people that aren't paying me money or that don't have a producing result. I've had people call me arrogant and tell me that there's more things to life than money, Jeremiah. You got to get over yourself. And I'm just like, I run a business, and so I'm not going to be spending time with people that aren't paying me money in business for business stuff, because I got employees to pay, a family to feed. Like, it's just ridiculous. But that's the thing. We get We got all these voices in our life that try to contradict the truth, that try to contradict what's actually going to get you to where you want to go. And so I want you to notice as you listen through this podcast, what does it bring up in you? What does it inspire? What does it make you feel? Journal that out, write it down, and then come back to it and see, okay, what am I believing behind this? What beliefs do I have about what's possible for me, my family, and my business that are preventing me from being able to start living the way that Jeremiah talks in this episode? See, I could teach you all the strategies, and I do. I have them. Go scroll through all the podcast episodes. There's tons of strategy. But if you don't get this, if you don't get this mental framework, those strategies will fall flat. Detach from the outcome. Let go of needing things to go a certain way. Just experiment. Just have fun. Be okay with things failing. Be okay with them not working out. And keep moving forward. And this one's above all, keep congratulating yourself just for your progress. Keep giving yourself a high five. Stop waiting until the finish line to do so. Be like a runner. You got all those people that give them the high five in a marathon each step they take, because each step is a breakthrough of breaking past those limitations. Each step forward, you want to start congratulating yourself, not at each milestone. I used to do this, and this is one of the biggest things that even this year I've started to change in my life, is congratulating myself for each milestone rather than at each finish line. And it'll revolutionize your life. This one habit of giving yourself a high five multiple times a day for giving it your best, even when you fail, even when you mess up, even when you yell at your spouse or yell at your kids, or you make a decision that didn't turn out well. You congratulate yourself and you keep moving forward. Let's change everything for you, my friends. One of the last things is we got to take personal responsibility in our lives. And this is more one of the hardest things that people need to learn. Is I would say I learned this one early on, and it helped a lot. Is nobody in life is to blame for why you are where you are but you. And that might sound hard, because I know we've been through a lot. And you might have even been a victim of abuse and had a terrible childhood and all that. I've been through that as well. But I want to say this. The choices we make are on us. The choices I make to let what happened to me define me, that's on me, not what somebody else did to me. And the other thing is motivation is fleeting. You might feel motivated after hearing this. And keep listening to podcasts and training, because it'll amp you up. It'll get you motivated. It'll get you fired up to do the great things. But motivation's fleeting. And that's why we need to develop self-discipline. That even when we don't feel like doing it, we still get up and do it. I didn't feel like recording this podcast episode this morning, truthfully, but I gave myself a high five for going out there and doing it. And you know what? I know that it came out great because I did that, because discipline showed up where my motivation was lacking. And I know that by doing that, that changes the game. Most people lack the ability to do what they don't feel like doing. It's not that you're stuffing your feelings. You actually want to pay attention to what are your feelings telling you. For me, I identified them and I worked through them. But I also know I gotta deliver a podcast to people. I got people that want me to deliver, and if I want to impact people the way that I know that I'm called and was born to do, I gotta press record and I gotta talk to y'all. So discipline, developing self-discipline, that's where freedom comes from. Discipline is freedom. And taking personal responsibility, extreme ownership over everything in your life, that I am responsible for how things go. And you might say, yeah, but God is in control, isn't he? This doesn't violate the laws of faith. This doesn't go against our beliefs about God and his almighty power at all. What I'm talking about is if you're not currently experiencing in your life right now something, you got to take a look at what needs to change, who do I need to talk to different, where do I need to go, what behaviors need to be different, what is not working currently, and stop blaming other people, stop blaming even God for why it's not going how you want, and keep our eyes fixed forward. Now, that, my friends, right there, unfortunately, the message of self-discipline and personal responsibility can leave you feeling guilty and ashamed, like you're not doing good enough, like you're not doing enough, like there's so much more that you could be doing. And so that's why, on the flip side, again, like I said, detaching from the outcome, being okay with how things are, accepting yourself just as you are in this moment in time, with a relentless pursuit to keep going forward, and congratulating yourself every single day, even when you fall short, even when you fail, even when you mess up. When you can do both of those, you have the self-discipline, you take personal responsibility, and yet you still congratulate yourself for the little things. Man, that's a recipe to make you a millionaire. And so I hope this has encouraged you. I hope this has helped you. Listen, if you know somebody that needs to hear this message, please share it with them, because I know that this is going to change some lives just hearing this right here, if you apply it. So that's what this podcast is for. That's why I do this. And so I'd encourage you, since this is free, you don't have to pay for this type of information. A lot of people charge for this type of information. I give it away freely because I know that if you start doing this, it's going to affect everything else. And then you'll make enough money to start hiring me to work as a coach, to hold you accountable, to support you. We support people better than any other organization or business out there that does this type of coaching for coaches and course creators. We're there to support you, to help you with your copywriting, with your ad writing, with your campaigns, with your funnels, to guide you, to walk you through each step. And in our coaching programs, that's what we do. We hold your hand through the whole thing. And that's what I'd love for you to do as well. That's what I'd love to help you with as well. So get on the waiting list for one of our programs. Hop into one of our free events that we're doing. You won't regret it. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon. Have a good one.